Good afternoon. I'm LaRue, and this is my Roots of Doo-Wop show for Friday afternoon. I'll be doing this show 30 minutes each, twice a week, to maintain my sanity, okay, during this pandemic. Gotta do something. You gotta keep busy, right? Okay. And a man of my advanced age, there's only so much we can do. You can see that. Sorry. I'm going to dedicate the first doo-wop tune. Well, this is the music of my youth. Let's face it. This is the stuff I grew up with. And I'm going to dedicate the first song to John Merdito in Weehawken, New Jersey. I was on the phone about a month and a half ago with John when this whole thing started, this whole isolation and self-sheltering from the virus and whatever. And I said, John, I'm losing track of the days. And he said, we'll do something. Okay. And he came up with the doo-wop idea because I didn't want to do disco and I didn't want to do pop and, everything's out there. But not too much disco is out there. And not too much disco. There's so much disco you could scream. And, I'm not complaining. And then the doo-wop. There's not so much doo-wop out there. So I decided to do a doo-wop show. Well, John and I decided to do a doo-wop show. I'm doing it here. It took me a while to get it together. I'm going to start the show with Cleftones, Little Girl of Mine. One of the most important songs. I played this song, G records, to death. When I was a kid. I got to check when it came out, but this was... I loved this record so much I could scream. Okay, now here we go. Can I just play it? I guess I can just play it. Cleftones, Little Girl of Mine. Doo-Wop lives!
Yeah. Oh, little girl of mine, you sure look fine. Yes, you appeal to me. I'll never set you free. Be my lover, baby, to the end.
Okay, Little Girl of Mine, the Cliftones. Now, I gotta say, I was listening to that record, awash in memories, you can imagine. Now that was G Records, and there was End Records, and there was Roulette Records, and all these acts on these labels, Buddy Knox, Jimmy Bowen, the Teenagers, the Cliftones, the Chantels, so much a part of my life, so much a part of my early youth and my musical influence. Now, all these labels were run by a guy named Boris Levy. Who knew, unbeknownst to me, that 30, 40 years later, Morris Levy would assume control of Pyramid Records, and I would have my most successful recordings ever, worldwide, disco stuff, with Morris Levy, with a Morris Levy label. I consider it a great compliment. I always did. Dealing with Morris, whatever one might say about him he was like a living legend. And when I was in his presence, I was always in awe. Because Peppermint Twist, I mean, I could go on and on. But, and you know, Morris wouldn't fuck with you if he didn't think you were a star. He had a philosophy, his A&R philosophy was, I don't know a fucking thing about music. David, he used to call me David. He said, David, I didn't fucking think about music. He said, I just knew I would take anything I could get for nothing. I could put it out, and if it was a hit, I would promote it, and if it wasn't a hit right away, I'd fuck it. And he said, and as long as the people knew, the producer and the artist and whatever, as long as they knew that they were never going to get paid. That's funny, isn't it? I loved them. I did. I loved them. He used to take me to the Friars Club. How's the beef? How's the veal, kid? Oh, Morris, I miss him. I do. I used to go up to the farm in New York State. He had a horse farm. R.I.P. Okay, but everybody at his memorial were very ambivalent. I think they ambivalent. I didn't go. I think my friend Lou Christie did go, because he was Morris. What would Lou Christie be? Two faces of eye on a roulette. Okay, let's move it right along. Well, I hope you don't mind me reminiscing because, excuse me, that's not the virus, that's my postnasal drip. I have it. I didn't take a pill, I'm sorry. I should take a pill. Oh, go take a pill, DC. No, okay. Okay, The Dimensions on Mohawk Records, Over the Rainbow. Over the Rainbow, produced and arranged by Irv Spice on Mohawk Records. Now, why is this one important to me? When I was, I think, 17 years old, I went to, I think it was during the summertime, I picked myself up and I went to New York City on the train. And I went to the Brill Building, because that's where all the record companies were at the time. And I just went from office to office to office to office. I was a little kid. So I knocked on the door and they let me in. So I went into Mohawk Records. Now I knew Mohawk Records because the first Down in the Belmonts record, Down in the Timberlanes, was on Mohawk. What was it called? No, I wonder why. That was the first LaRue record. That was the Belmonts. Oh, The Chosen Few. Okay. And I purchased The Chosen Few. It was a minor hit. And I saw the label on Dion, whatever. I was a big Dion fan from way back. And I walked in, and there was this kind of like overweight guy, red-headed, sandy-headed, ginger guy, Irv Spice. He was arranger and producer, and you could contract him to do string sessions. You know, he was like the contractor, and he would get all the strings and all these records with the strings at the time. Irv, he had a contract through Irv, so he made a good deal of money. Then he had his own little label, and Irv wanted to sign me. Right off the bat, I sat down at the piano and I played my little tunes. You know, whatever. I was writing them all the time, little, 4-chord songs. And Irv wanted to record me and sign me. And for some reason, so long ago, for some reason it didn't work out. And then shortly after Over the Rainbow, I recorded for Bob Crew, and we always had strings. And who walks in? This is about 2 years, 2 years later. Into the studio is Irv Spice, contracting the string section, and the concertmaster, whatever. And I looked at him and said, Irv Spice, I said, congratulations on your hit, Over the Rainbow. And he goes, I remember you. Did I want to sign you? I said, yes. But Bob Crew signed me instead. Oh, I didn't have any hits with Bob. Just a small world. But who knew when I was listening to Dion and the Timberlanes, Chosen Few on Mohawk Records, that I would, there's a 3-part story to this, that I would have him contract strings for my Bob Crew sessions, and then 20 years later, he was the string contractor for cathedrals. Yes, indeed. Yes. And who walks into the session, and Aram's there, and because he was a union guy, and who walks in but Irv Spice. And you know what? He was so sweet with me. He remembered me. Did I want to sign you at one time? And I said, yes, you did. And so after the session was over, Irv came to me, and I'll play another record. Irv came to me, he said, that's a fucking hit record, that Cathedrals. I said, oh, Irv, thank you. He said, it was like, and it's about time, huh? And it's about time, foot stomping, the flares, oh my God.
Everybody young and old, learn how to rock and roll. Listen, here's something new. Everybody jumping to the moon. No wondering and guessing, don't need dancing lessons. Listen to the jackie beat. Shake your head and stomp your feet. Come on. Even just the other day, Dolly to my sister May. Bad leg, Mr. Blue can do the foot. Come on.
Okay. Now, if you remember the lyric in that song, sure cure, sure cure, sure cure. Now, how is this music my roots of my music, my musical consciousness? Well, the last album I did for Casablanca, I had always wanted to use that lyric, sure cure, sure cure. Star Baby. And if you listen to Star Baby, the title track, you'll hear me do it. It's the sure cure, it's the sure cure, it's the sure cure for a broken heart. There you go. Influence? Now that's 50 years later. When I finally got to use that sure cure, sure cure. Now what else have we got here? The memories, all the memories. The Olympics, Western movies.
To save my soul, I can't get a date. Baby, got a full why can't get popping through the TV, shooting up the land. My baby love the Western movies. My baby love the Western
Perfect. The perfect song for your sheltering in place. Okay, Olympics, Western movies. Now, I was going on, as I'm playing this, I remember things about these records that influenced my music, which is what this is. It's the doo-wop roots of DC LaRue. Now, the stories I just told you about Morris Levy and Irv Spice and everything, that those are real true stories, but I haven't really thought of them like that, to articulate them like that, ever. So this is like a first, and people always say to me, I gotta hurry up, I only got 10 minutes left. People say to me, oh, GC, why don't you write your book? Why don't you write a book? Why don't you write I'm too lazy to write a book. And it's too much of a drag. And, really, it may be wonderful, a tome for people who really care about me and my music, but that's like a niche. And I don't think it's like a niche that is sufficient enough to sell a lot of books to make it profitable. So, and worth the work, worth the time and effort, Just like I would record right now, except people always say, why don't you make a new record? I say, why? Because I know from other people, from the Donna Summers, from the, from the, police, from the Patrick Hernandez, and you go on and on, change, and on and on. The list is Gloria Gaynor. Huge, talented, fabulous stars, disco stars. And, they could make Donna Summer's last album, Crayons, was flawless. Just flawless. And I remember her, she was so upset that people didn't recognize the, people didn't recognize the business thing. Oh, people didn't recognize the, I have messages coming in. It's so rude, isn't it? I fall into that same trap. I fall into that same trap, and I hate it. I hate it when it happens to me, when other people do it. So, bottom line is, I could make the best fucking record that I've ever made in my life on the planet, disco genre, ever. And nobody would care. And I know that. Because as much as that Crayons record was flawless, people didn't care. I cared. I listened to it. I just thought, oh my God, this from beginning to end. The way she does it with Ziggy Marley, whatever, it's fabulous. When she talks about her music and her new album, all I want to do is hear Love to Love You Baby, MacArthur Park, oh, but she works hard for the money. It's not worth the time and effort, and it's a lot of work, especially at my age. I'm 103 years old. So that's why I don't do it, and that's why I don't write a book. But if you're listening to all my shows, especially my Disco Douche shows, Disco Juice shows, they're a revelation. How much time have I got here? 22. Oh, I got a few minutes. Yeah, because all those stories, you know, the disco-related stories, you get them. You know, I've been doing the show for 8 years, and you listen long enough, and you can put your own book together. You know, just quote me here and there. Okay, now what? Oh, I want to play those oldies but goodies, and tonight. Oh, there's so many I want to play. Okay, Little Caesar and the Romans. Those oldies but goodies reminds me of you.
Those oldies but goodies reminds me of you. The songs of the past bring back memories of you. I always remember the first night we met. The songs they were playing, I never will forget. I always will treasure them, for close to my heart. They always will haunt me, although we're apart. Each time that I hear them, a tear cloud to fall. For all of those memories that I recall, those oldies but goodies reminds me of you. The songs of the past bring back memories of you. Forever they will haunt me, but what can I do? Those oldies but goodies
Reminds
reminds me of you. Yes, dear, they are playing our song, and they will always remain our song. And each time you hear them, I hope you too will cherish the wonderful memories that our Lord once knew. For these songs are just a symbol of the love that I have for you. Those oldies but goodies reminds me of you. The songs of the past bring back memories of you. Forever they will haunt me, but what can I do?
those oldies but goodies.
Oldies but goodies
Reminds me.
reminds me of
Yes, darling. They're playing our song. The song we first met. Okay, now, you know, I mentioned when I went to Herb Spice when I was 16 years old. When I came into town, my mom let me come. I don't know, she was a crazy mother. She just let me take the train, go to Manhattan. It was a wild story, wild. I was 16. Okay, I was a little 16, innocent, little blonde, curly-headed little dove from Jersey, Connecticut, taking the train to Manhattan, Times Square. So, and I mentioned this in one of my previous shows. You know, when I was, you know, Aram Sheffer, the guy who produced and co-wrote Cathedrals with me, and a whole bunch of other stuff. We would discuss writing songs, and I said, you know, he was so sophisticated and so talented, and I was really basic. And I said to him, Aram, I said, I grew up thinking that every hit song had 4 chords and triplets, dun, 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 dun. And he said, so did I. Everybody did. He said, if you grew up with doo-wop, that's what you thought. You thought 4 chords, you got a hit. Now, what do you think? Okay, well, I'm going to go, Tonight's the Night, Shirelles, okay? I don't know, do I have time? 27, 20, no, one song. Tonight's the Night, Shirelles. Oh, this is, I think, one of my favorite Shirelles records, okay? So says my soul. Let's take this chance. Shirelles, Tonight's the Night. Okay, now I got 30 minutes for I got 15 seconds. My half an hour. You know, I don't go half an hour, so I don't bore you. You're bored anyway, right? After 10 minutes. Next Wednesday, okay, I'm going to take down my hair. Now, my hair's never been this long. See my ponytail? I have a little ponytail. And simply because it's never, ever in my entire life been this long, I've never, ever had a ponytail, I'm going to take it down and shake it, okay? Now, first, all you do is get exclusive first things on the show. As if you really cared. As if you really cared. Well, I care. And this is doo-wop roots of DC LaRue. Now you know a little bit more about me. And the music I listened to and the music that influenced me through the years. Okay? Okay. So we'll see you next Wednesday. Now everybody take care.